Hello folks, Sinow here, and I've got something a little bit new for the channel today and in the future for this channel. I want to tell you all about an MMO that I'm really excited to see come out called Lost Ark, and I'm going to tell you 5 reasons why I'm really excited for this game coming. But just to briefly explain what Lost Ark is, first of all, Lost Ark is a Korean MMO that has been out in Korea for a couple of years now, and I kind of had it on my radar for a while, but now that I'm beginning to learn more about it, and we have finally got a release date for the game in the West, North America and Europe of fall 2021, which is very, very soon. I really have been diving into this game and I think it looks great. I've actually played a little bit on the Russian servers for the game that's already out, and I think this could be a really big release for me. So I want to share some of my passion for it and tell you a couple of reasons today why I am really excited to see Lost Ark coming out in the future. So the first reason why I'm really excited for Lost Ark coming out is I think it has a really unique blend of 2 different genres of RPG together. Those of you who are looking at the footage for the game right now who have played, for instance, Diablo or Path of Exile, you probably think on first glance that this is going to be like an ARPG looter game like those are, and I was the same at first. Lost Ark, on the other hand, takes that gameplay of, like, you know, how the skills work and how you control your character with the isometric view, but puts it into an MMO gameplay loop, and I think this is actually a really unique blend that I can't think of another game that does this, although I'm sure one of them exists out there somewhere. So as an MMO, Lost Ark has all of the things that I love about MMOs. It's got guilds, so you and your friends can all join a guild together and collaborate your resources. It's got a persistent overworld, so if you go out into a field on your server and somebody else is there, you can bump into them and you can make new friends, or let's be real, you can have very intense MMO drama and make mortal enemies for life. That's definitely the case sometimes. There's crafting in the game, there's gathering, there's also PvP, and there's raids as well, which I'll talk about a little bit more later. I think this is a really unique blend of 2 genres that the first time I played Lost Ark, I was kind of like, why hasn't this been done before, you know? Like, why hasn't a game that controls like Diablo been made into an MMO before this? And that unique mix is the first reason why I'm really feeling Lost Ark. So the second reason why I'm really excited for Lost Ark is there are 15 classes coming with the Western launch of the game, which is a lot of classes for an MMO to have on launch. And they have these really cool looking skills. Like, every class has a skill that makes you go, wow, this looks really good. But in particular, it's the feel of the combat in Lost Ark is why I'm really excited for it. A lot of the skills and abilities have this like real like weight and punch to them. Like, there's a kind of thumping bass when you hit certain abilities, and it really feels like your character's like swinging into the enemies. And I think it gives this kind of combat style to the game that is kind of a bit more strategic, even though it's still quite fast-paced. So for instance, if you use a skill, a lot of the time you're locked into a certain movement pattern, and if you use a skill at the wrong time, then you might end up getting hit by like a boss's area of effects attack, or you might get juggled by your opponent in PvP. By comparison, for example, I quite liked Phantasy Star Online 2, another MMO out there, but in that game it has this problem for me where a lot of your abilities are like so fast paced and everything is like this flurry of movement where there's like a million damage numbers coming out of every mob as you zip around, that it kind of begins to lose this kind of like tangible feeling of strategy to it, where it just feels like you're zipping around and everything's blowing up. But in Lost Ark, although things are quite fast paced, it really feels like you have to think about how you use your abilities. So I really like this about Lost Ark, and I found myself on the Russian servers just fighting mobs because I liked the combat system so much. So I'm really excited to play more of the game because it feels great to me to play it. The third reason why I think Lost Ark has a lot of potential is, let's be real here, I'm an MMO player. I've been playing MMOs since I was about 13 years old when I started Final Fantasy XI. One of the things I love about MMOs the most is raiding in them, and it looks like Lost Ark has a lot of really fun, unique raiding content to offer players, and I'm really excited to try it with my friends. For example, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos and Twitch streams of people playing on the Korean live servers, and there's some sort of like Hell Clown raid that they seem to be doing there, which is like a kind of a haunted theater show or something where this like hellish looking clown is attacking the players over like a 3-phase fight, and it looks like there's some really really fun, unique mechanics in this fight that really has caught my interest in Lost Ark as a game. For instance, in one part of the fight, one of the party of 4 people gets an aerial overhead view of a maze and has to guide their 3 friends through the maze to defeat a certain mob within a time limit. Another mechanic in that raid as well is at one point it turns into like a 2D side-scroller platformer game for a while that you have to get through. Just these kind of crazy ideas that look like the devs were having fun when they were making it, and it's quite unique for an MMO to have these type of gameplay segments in it. So I'm really looking forward to doing that myself with friends. I think it's going to be a memorable experience. I actually found an article on PC Games N from the Lost Ark developers that said that with their upcoming raid content in Korea, they really wanted to push the boundaries of what they were capable of when it came to creating raids, and they wanted to create raid content that was so fun and unique that other MMOs would pay attention to Lost Ark with how well they've designed these things. And I think that's a really cool goal to aim for the devs, and I can't wait to see what they come up with. So that's the third reason why I'm really excited for Lost Ark. The fourth reason why I think Lost Ark has really great long-term MMO potential is since the game's launch in South Korea in 2018, it has become the most played MMO in South Korea, which is a market that has a lot of competition when it comes to MMOs. You can see even on Twitch right now, there are a lot of people watching Korean Twitch streamers playing the game, and it seems like it's quite a success over there for a reason. They must have been doing something right for people to be into the game even today, right? So it's definitely not a flash in the pan over there, and I think having been out in South Korea for a couple of years since 2018, the game has a level of polish that we're going to get for its Western release that I think will bode very well for people trying out Lost Ark for the first time over here. It's always a little bit more difficult to break into like a foreign market with a product, especially because Lost Ark is a new IP. So unlike Final Fantasy XIV, for instance, which is a Final Fantasy game and already people will give it a shot because they love Final Fantasy, Lost Ark is a new IP, and a lot of people won't really know what to expect about this game when they try it out for the first time. So first impressions are going to be really crucial for it, and I think having a couple of years of polish is really going to help in that regard, so it doesn't feel like you're playing a product that needs a bit more time before it really gets good. We don't know yet how far behind the Western version of the game will be patch-wise compared to the live Korean version, but it seems like we probably will have a lot of the improvements that have happened to the game over the past couple of years already in the game when it launches here. It is also being published by Amazon Games Department. A lot of people are a little bit intrepid about that for good reasons, because they haven't had the best amount of success in the space yet. But on the plus side, they do have that Jeff Bezos money behind them, and the base of the game is so good that I think it would be a terrible waste if they didn't really put enough effort into making sure this game is popular over here, and I think they can do it if Amazon just plays their cards right here. So fingers crossed that this works out, because I really think this game has potential. So the fifth and final reason why I think Lost Ark has potential that I will talk to you about today is I think now is a good time to release a new MMO. So this is more my own opinion, and you might disagree with this, but it seems like some of the longer term players within the MMO space or competitors for Lost Ark are beginning to show some signs of player burnout, or people getting frustrated with the direction the games are going in. For instance, I've heard that some Path of Exile players are not super happy with the way that the latest updates are going, and of course the king of MMOs, World of Warcraft. I've heard a lot of World of Warcraft creators I've watched on YouTube and Twitch explain at length how they feel that World of Warcraft is being taken in a direction by Blizzard that is more about increasing engagement metrics by forcing you to play the game a lot, as opposed to making the game experience fun so that you want to waste time in it. And there's a lot of this kind of burnout feeling with World of Warcraft. Quite famously, a lot of you have probably heard of Asmongold, very famous Twitch streamer and YouTuber, who has been talking about this new direction being frustrating and has started to recently play Final Fantasy XIV, leading to like a boom in popularity for that game. I think Final Fantasy XIV absolutely deserves its boom in popularity at the moment, and I still love playing it. But 14 is a game that's designed so that you play it intensely in a short burst and then by the dev's own admission, they're quite happy for you to go off and play something else in between when new content comes out for 14. And there's a couple of things about Final Fantasy 14 that it doesn't really offer quite as strong as other offerings in the market. For instance, PvP is quite noticeably kind of weak in 14. It's not very popular. So I think Lost Ark actually could have quite a good niche to carve out in the market, especially as a lot of people now with Asmongold and 14 blowing up, it seems like people are like thinking about MMOs again after a period of time where everybody got a bit burnt out with all of the MMOs trying to be the WoW killer like Rift, Wildstar, Ion, etc. There was a burnout period, and now it feels like everybody's thinking about MMOs again. Maybe now is a good time for a new experience to come along, because there's so many people who are playing WoW and Path of Exile and stuff who are looking for a new game to call home. So I personally think that this is actually a good time for Lost Ark to try and make its move. And fingers crossed that people will give it enough of a fair chance to be a success over here, because I really do think it could be a success. And I think if they release it on the Western market with good support and a good amount of advertising push, this could really be a long-term MMO and a place to call home for a community who are looking for new adventures. And that is why I am really looking forward to Lost Ark coming out. There is a beta coming out for the game if you are interested that you are guaranteed access to if you buy a Founders Pack on Steam. Even though the game is technically free to play, this Founders Pack is designed to be quite cheap so that you get a couple of goodies in game before it comes out, and it allows you to play in the beta, which should be announced any day now, fingers crossed. According to the social media guy on Twitter, I think they're almost ready to let us play in this beta, and I will be playing a lot of the beta on Twitch and hopefully here on YouTube too, as I plan to cover the game a lot more in future. Regardless, I hope that this video has been good food for thought for you, and maybe a couple of you are incentivized to check out the game now that you've heard me talk about it, or maybe you're already just a crazy fiend for Lost Ark and you're like me, you're just counting the hours and the days until it releases. I hope I will see quite a lot of you in the upcoming beta and for the game's launch. This has been Sinow. Take care. Thanks for watching.